You can't survive without me, my girlfriend declared as she maxed out my credit card. 2 months later, I bought a condo. She bought a bus ticket back to her mom's couch. My name's Ryan, 30 years old, male. And the day my girlfriend Emma, 28 years old, female, looked me dead in the eye and said, "You can't survive without me," something in my stomach twisted. Not because I believed her, though at the time, part of me still did, but because she said it with this smug certainty, right as she swiped my credit card for a $600 handbag I never agreed to buy. We'd been together 3 years. At the start, she was magnetic. Loud laugh, big dreams, the kind of woman who'd walk into a room and instantly make you feel like you were standing in better lighting just for knowing her. I fell for that version of her hard. But somewhere along the line, that brightness turned into something else. Every dinner out had to be the most expensive spot in the city. Every just a little treat turned into a spree. Every disagreement became a test of loyalty I never seemed to pass. Emma grew up spoiled. Only child, doting mom, a dad who sent checks instead of attention. She used to tell me she was meant for more than the boring suburban life. I didn't think much of it when we were happy. I figured she just wanted to feel special, and I was fine being the guy who made her feel that way. But as time went on, it started to feel like I was a prop in her production, not a partner. The night of the handbag incident, I told her she'd maxed out my credit card. We couldn't even buy groceries without dipping into my overdraft. She just smirked, tossed her hair, and hit me with that line, "You can't survive without me." Like she wasn't just draining my bank account, but my sanity too. What made it sting most wasn't the money, it was the way she said it like she owned me. Like she'd taken a chisel to my spine and carved her name there. I'd built my life carefully. I had a solid job, steady savings, and plans to finally put a down payment on a condo. And in less than a year with her living full-time in my apartment, it felt like all of that had been siphoned into this black hole of designer shoes and bar tabs, but I kept quiet. I kept telling myself love means compromise, that she'd grow out of it or settle once she realized we were building something real. Looking back, I think I was too scared to admit the truth. Emma wasn't building with me. She was building on top of me, piling bricks until I was buried under her version of the good life, and the cracks were already showing. After the handbag fiasco, things didn't calm down. They escalated. Emma started treating my credit card like it was a magic wand. Uber Eats every night, salon appointments twice a week, spontaneous retail therapy trips that left me staring at statements filled with numbers I couldn't recognize. Every time I tried to talk about it, she turned it into an attack on me. "Ryan, you're obsessed with money," she'd snap, glass of wine in hand. "Do you even know how to live? Everything with you is budgets and limits. You're suffocating me." Meanwhile, I was the one staring at my online banking like it was a horror movie. I'd worked my ass off for years, putting money aside for that condo down payment. Watching it vanish into overpriced candles and champagne brunches felt like bleeding out in slow motion. But here's the thing. Emma wasn't always cruel. That's what messed me up the most. She could be soft, sweet even. Some nights, she'd curl up on my chest and talk about our future kids, or how she couldn't wait for me to make partner at my firm so she could throw dinner parties in a real house. She'd tell me I was the most dependable man she'd ever met. And just when I thought, okay, maybe we'll get through this, she'd swing the other way and explode. One night, I told her flat out, "Emma, you can't keep using my credit card like this. We need a plan." She laughed, actually laughed, then hurled the card at me so hard it bounced off my chest and landed on the kitchen floor. "Go ahead," she sneered, mascara smudged from a night out. "Cut it up, but don't come crawling back when you realize you can't even function without me. Who else is going to make your boring life interesting?" And then she stormed into the bedroom, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frames on the wall. I stood there in the silence, cards still on the floor. And for the first time, I realized something that scared me. She believed it. Emma truly thought I needed her, that she was some kind of oxygen tank keeping me alive. What she didn't realize was I was already suffocating with her. The weeks that followed were a blur of late-night fights, broken glasses, and whispered apologies that didn't mean a damn thing. She started showing up at my office unannounced, once even barging in during a client meeting because she wanted to know why I hadn't answered her texts. My coworkers stared while she cried in the lobby about how I was ignoring her. That was the moment it clicked for me. Emma wasn't just reckless. She was dangerous to everything I'd built. And if I didn't do something soon, she was going to burn my whole life down just to prove her point. Don't forget to subscribe. Emma's meltdowns stopped being private. Once, maybe twice a week, she'd detonate in public like a human grenade. The first real blow-up happened at my best friend Mark's birthday dinner. Mark had been my closest friend since college, the kind of guy who'd helped me move apartments 3 times and never complained. Emma came along wearing a dress she'd charged to my card just that afternoon. Halfway through the night, she decided I wasn't paying her enough attention. "Why are you laughing at her jokes, Ryan?" she hissed across the table, glaring at Mark's girlfriend. Everyone froze. I tried to defuse it, telling her I was just making conversation, but Emma didn't let go. She stood up at a crowded restaurant, snatched the wine glass from my hand, and dumped it into my lap. The entire place went silent. Mark tried to step in, but Emma went nuclear, screaming that I was an ungrateful loser who'd still be eating frozen pizza if it weren't for her. People actually turned in their chairs to watch. That night, back at my apartment, she sobbed into my chest like nothing had happened. "I just get scared you'll leave me," she whispered. And like an idiot, I held her, even though my jeans still smelled like Merlot, and my dignity had been wrung out in front of half the city. But the worst was yet to come. A week later, I walked into my apartment after work and felt something was off. My desk drawer, the one where I kept my paperwork, was open. Emma was sitting on the floor surrounded by my tax returns, bank statements, even my pay stubs. "What the hell are you doing?" I asked. She didn't even flinch. "Just making sure you're not hiding anything from me. Couples shouldn't have secrets." My blood ran cold. She'd rifled through everything. My savings account numbers, condo applications I'd been quietly working on, even an old letter from my late grandmother I kept tucked away. When I tried to take the papers back, Emma clutched them to her chest and screamed so loud my neighbors banged on the wall. "If you touch me, I'll call the cops and tell them you hit me." That stopped me cold. My heart was hammering so hard I could barely breathe. I didn't lay a hand on her, but the fact she even said that showed me exactly what game she was willing to play. That night, I slept on the couch staring at the ceiling while Emma locked herself in the bedroom with my financial records. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't just trapped in a bad relationship. I was living with a ticking bomb. So I started planning. Quietly, carefully, a little transfer here, a closed account there. Passwords changed, documents moved off-site to my office. For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of control return. Emma thought she was untouchable. She thought she'd buried me under debt and dependence. She had no idea I was already digging my way out. I thought I was being slick, changing passwords, moving important documents to my office, making small withdrawals in cash she wouldn't notice. But Emma wasn't dumb. Paranoid, yes. Impulsive, absolutely. But she had a sixth sense for sniffing out anything she thought might weaken her grip on me. It started small. She'd pop into my office lobby unannounced, bringing coffee like she was some supportive girlfriend. But really, she'd linger too long, peeking over my receptionist's desk, asking weird questions about my pay cycles. One time, she accidentally dropped her bag and spent way too long picking up papers right where I kept client files. Then she went further. One Friday, I stayed late finishing a proposal. When I finally walked out to the parking lot, I froze. My car, my black Civic I'd babied for years, was covered in deep, deliberate key marks, every panel. Someone had carved jagged lines like they were trying to peel the paint off. Sitting on my windshield under the wipers was a sticky note in Emma's handwriting. "Next time, don't ignore my calls." My hands shook as I peeled it off. She hadn't even tried to hide it. That night, I confronted her. She didn't deny it. She just smiled, this twisted little smirk, and said, "You looked so angry when you saw it. Honestly, you're kind of hot when you're mad." I swear I almost lost it. My throat burned from holding back every word I wanted to scream. Instead, I walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and stared at myself in the mirror. My face looked hollow, tired, like someone who'd been erased piece by piece. And for the first time, I admitted it out loud. I hate her. I hate what she's turned me into. But Emma wasn't finished. A few days later, my boss pulled me into his office. Apparently, someone had sent an email from an anonymous account claiming I was funneling client money into a personal account. Total lie, of course, but it triggered an internal audit. The whole time he's explaining this, my stomach is in free fall, because I knew exactly who had done it. Emma had threatened me just the week before, whispering in my ear during a fight, "You think your job makes you untouchable? I could ruin you in a heartbeat." That was it. The line. She'd gone from wrecking my finances and humiliating me in public to actively trying to torch my career. That night, while she slept soundly in my bed like nothing was wrong, I sat on the couch scrolling through condo listings I'd been saving in secret. My hands were steady, my heart calmer than it had been in months. I wasn't scared anymore. I was done. And I knew exactly how I was going to make Emma eat those words. You can't survive without me. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Wow. I didn't expect so many people to respond to my post. Honestly, I thought maybe a handful of folks would skim it and tell me to just leave her already. But reading through your comments, I felt seen for the first time in months. Some of you were harsh. I deserved it. Some were supportive, and a few of you even messaged me saying you'd been through the same kind of financial and emotional chokehold. The comment that really stuck with me was someone who said, "She doesn't love you. She loves control, and she won't stop until you're ashes." That hit me in the chest because that's exactly how it feels. Like she's been stripping pieces of me away, testing how much I'll let her destroy before I finally collapse. I can't collapse. I won't. So here's where I'm at. After the car vandalism and the fake email to my boss, I knew I couldn't just keep waiting it out. Emma wasn't going to magically wake up one day and decide to stop being toxic. She was escalating. And if I didn't make a move, she was going to take everything, my job, my savings, my reputation, with her. A lot of you told me to document everything, so I started. Photos of the keyed car, screenshots of her texts. I even saved the sticky note she left under my windshield. I've been forwarding everything to a private folder she doesn't know exists. If she tries to nuke me on her way out, I'll have ammo. But here's the part that most of you won't agree with. I don't just want out. I want her to feel the weight of what she's done. She's been strutting around my apartment acting like she's the queen of my life, telling her friends I'd be lost without her. She genuinely believes she's untouchable. She's not. I've been laying groundwork quietly, meeting with a realtor, running numbers, making calls. There's a condo I've had my eye on for months. I thought it was a pipe dream with all the debt she dragged me into, but I've been resourceful. I'll just say this. I have enough tucked away where she can't touch it. In 2 weeks, if everything goes to plan, I'll have keys in my hand. My name on the deed, my space. And Emma? She won't even see it coming. Some of you told me to just disappear quietly. Tempting. But part of me, it's petty, I admit, wants her to know that I can survive without her, that I can thrive without her. And when she realizes it, when she feels that sharp snap of control breaking, that's the moment I've been waiting for. 2 weeks. That was the window I gave myself. 2 weeks to finalize the condo paperwork, quietly move my essentials into storage, and set the stage for Emma's spectacular crash landing. I started small, pulled back emotionally. No more late-night talks, no more letting her crawl back into my arms after she detonated. I became polite, detached, almost businesslike. Emma hated it. She thrived on reaction, my frustration, my anger, even my tears. Without that, she started clawing for new ways to get under my skin. One night, I came home to find the living room trashed. My bookshelf tipped over, glass from a shattered picture frame scattered across the floor. In the middle of the mess sat Emma, clutching one of my work binders. "You think you can hide things from me?" she screamed. "I know you're planning something. Who are you talking to? Who's helping you?" Her paranoia had gone full throttle. She followed me around the apartment, phone in hand, recording me like she was building her own evidence file. I didn't take the bait, just swept the glass into the trash and went to bed, but the more I pulled away, the more unhinged she became. She showed up at my job again, only this time she stormed past the receptionist and into a conference room where I was mid-presentation. In front of 3 clients and my boss, she shrieked, "Tell them how you really spend your money, Ryan. Tell them how you lie." My boss kicked her out, but the damage was done, at least in terms of humiliation. My clients sat there, wide-eyed like they'd just witnessed a soap opera live. I wanted to crawl under the table. Instead, I smiled, finished the meeting, and later apologized. Funny thing is, my boss pulled me aside after and said, "Whatever's going on at home, end it. She's going to ruin you." That's when I knew it was time to pull the trigger. The next day, I signed the papers. Condo was mine. Keys in hand, deed in my name. I moved the essentials first. Important files, heirlooms, clothes, everything else I left in the apartment, including the mountain of luxury crap Emma had piled up with my money. Then I staged it. Clean sheets on the bed, groceries stocked, even paid rent one last time so there'd be no immediate crisis. I wanted her to feel secure, to believe for just a moment longer that she still had me on a leash. Meanwhile, I arranged my exit down to the hour. The final step was simple but brutal: canceling her access. Credit cards, locked. Bank accounts, separated. Utilities, transferred. By the time she realized, she'd be standing in the middle of an apartment that wasn't hers, with bills she couldn't pay and no backup plan. Emma thought she was the one pulling strings. She didn't know she was about to find herself cut loose. I'll never forget the exact moment Emma realized the strings were cut. It was a Tuesday morning. She'd gone out the night before with her friends, charging cocktails and Ubers to my card like always. Except this time, the charges didn't go through. So when she stumbled back into the apartment at noon, still wearing last night's makeup, she was already seething. "Why is my card declined?" she demanded, tossing her phone onto the counter so hard it slid across and clattered to the floor. "Because it's not your card," I said evenly. "It never was." Her face twisted like I'd slapped her. Then she laughed, sharp and ugly. "You're bluffing. You wouldn't survive a week without me. You can't even boil pasta right." I shrugged. "Guess we'll find out." That's when she tore the kitchen apart, plates smashed against the walls. She ripped open cupboards, throwing canned food onto the floor like she was searching for proof I was lying. Then she grabbed my laptop off the table and hurled it against the door. The screen shattered on impact. "You think you can leave me?" she screamed, her voice cracking. "You think you're better than me?" My neighbors must have heard because there was knocking on the wall, muffled shouts for her to quiet down. She didn't care. She stomped through the apartment, yanking drawers out, throwing clothes down the hallway, even tearing pages from my old photo albums and scattering them like confetti. I just stood there, silent, calm. For the first time in months, maybe years, I wasn't scared. I wasn't scrambling to fix it, to soothe her, to play mediator. I just let her burn herself out. Finally, she collapsed onto the couch, chest heaving, mascara streaked down her cheeks. "You'll come crawling back," she whispered hoarsely. "You always do." That was my cue. I picked up the duffel I'd packed days earlier and slung it over my shoulder. Walked to the door, paused just long enough to say, "I bought a condo. It's mine. And you're not part of it. Good luck." The silence that followed was heavier than all the screaming. Emma sat frozen, her mouth open, like her brain couldn't process the words. I walked out, locked the door behind me, and didn't look back. That evening, I sat in my new condo, bare walls, echoing rooms, a mattress on the floor, and I felt lighter than I had in years. But I knew Emma wouldn't just let it end there. Not her. If I knew her at all, she'd come storming back with claws out, desperate to reassert control. And when she did, I'd be ready. Update. So, I did it. I walked out. And for everyone who told me I'd never find the guts, fair point. You were right to doubt me, but I finally pulled the trigger, and let me tell you, the silence in my condo that first night was better than any vacation I've ever taken. I read through your comments after my first update while sitting on the floor with a mattress and a six-pack. Some of you cracked me up, like the guy who said, "Bro, she's the type to key her own face if she thought it would make you look bad." Not far off, honestly. Others told me I needed to lawyer up immediately, change locks, keep everything documented. You weren't wrong. Because Emma didn't just roll over. Within 24 hours of me leaving, she unleashed hell. First came the texts. Pages of them, alternating between, "I love you, please come home," and "You're a pathetic coward who will die alone." Then the calls. 32 missed calls in one night. When I didn't pick up, she started blowing up my work line. My receptionist actually had to block her number after Emma left a voicemail calling me a fraud who steals from clients. Then came the social media smear campaign. She posted this long rant about how I abandoned her after using her for stability. Stability. The same woman who couldn't pay for a frappuccino without my credit card was suddenly claiming I'd leached off her. My friends messaged me screenshots asking if I wanted them to defend me. I told them not to bother. People who know me know the truth. The kicker, though, was the visit. She showed up outside my condo building, pounding on the glass doors and screaming my name at 1 a.m. Security had to escort her out while she was sobbing about how I'd ruined her life. I watched from my balcony, equal parts horrified and weirdly relieved. Because for the first time, her chaos wasn't inside my home. It was out there, and I was safe behind a locked door that she had no key to. A lot of you asked if I'd block her completely. Not yet. Call it twisted, but I want to see how far she goes when she realizes she has no more power. She's unraveling, and every desperate move just proves how wrong she was when she said, "You can't survive without me." Spoiler, I'm surviving just fine. What comes next? Well, let's just say Emma's about to take her final swing, and this time it's going to backfire in a way she never saw coming. I knew Emma wasn't done. The woman thrived on drama like oxygen. Take it away and she'd claw for air any way she could. Sure enough, 2 days after her midnight screaming fit outside my condo, I got a call from an unknown number. It was her mom, a woman I'd only met twice. Both times she looked at me like I was a janitor tracking mud through her precious daughter's palace. "Ryan," she started in this syrupy tone, "Emma told me you abandoned her. After everything she's sacrificed for you, you left her with nothing? How could you do that?" I almost laughed. Sacrificed? Emma hadn't sacrificed a damn thing. She'd been bleeding me dry for 2 years straight, but I didn't argue. I just told her flatly, "Ask your daughter where the $22,000 on my credit card went, then call me back." Click. She never called back. That should have been the end of it. But Emma doubled down. She roped her friends into the circus, and suddenly my name was all over social media. Posts about how I was abusive, how I'd financially trapped her, how I was stalking her. Projection at its finest. My phone lit up with messages from mutual acquaintances asking if it was true. I sent them screenshots, bank statements, the sticky note she'd left on my vandalized car, the barrage of texts she'd sent me at 3 a.m. That shut most of them up. But Emma wasn't content with slander. She wanted blood. One Friday, I came home from work to find police cruisers parked outside my condo. My stomach dropped. The officer explained someone had called in a domestic disturbance report tied to my address. They asked to come inside, check the place. Of course, it was spotless, no signs of struggle. Just me, alone with a half-empty pizza box on the counter. "Do you know anyone who might make a false report?" the officer asked. I didn't even have to think. "Yeah, my ex." He gave me this long look and handed me a card. "Document everything. If she pulls this again, you might want to consider a restraining order." That night, I realized something. Emma wasn't trying to get me back anymore. She was trying to drag me down with her. If she couldn't control me, she'd rather see me ruined. But here's the thing. Her flailing only made her look worse. And I'd already put the final nail in her coffin without her even knowing. Because while she was busy calling cops and spreading rumors, I'd been busy making calls of my own to my landlord. Remember, the apartment lease was in my name. Emma had never signed a thing. And as of the first of the month, I'd terminated it. In less than a week, Emma would be standing in that trashed apartment with no key, no credit, and no place to go. And me? I'd be watching from the balcony of my condo, wine glass in hand, free at last. The day Emma finally fell was almost anticlimactic for me, but not for her. It was the first of the month. I'd already moved every last trace of myself out of the old apartment. The fridge was empty, the utilities shut off, the lease terminated. All that was left inside were the shards of plates she'd smashed, the pile of luxury junk she'd bought with my card, and the stale smell of chaos. I didn't plan to be there. But some part of me, maybe the part that wanted closure, decided to drive by after work. I parked across the street, out of sight, and waited. Right on schedule, Emma pulled up in an Uber lugging 2 shopping bags like she was coming home from another spree. She strutted to the door, heels clicking, confidence radiating like she still owned the place. Then she tried her key. Nothing. I could see her frown from across the road. She tried again, harder this time, rattling the knob. Still nothing. She started pounding, shouting, "Ryan, open the damn door!" Neighbors peeked out of their windows. Some shook their heads. After a few minutes, she pulled out her phone, no doubt calling me. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I didn't answer. She screamed into the receiver anyway, her voice carrying down the block. "You can't do this to me. I made you. You can't survive without me." And then, like fate had a sense of humor, the landlord's assistant showed up with two maintenance guys. They handed her an envelope, official notice of lease termination. She snatched it, tore it open, and when she realized the apartment wasn't hers, never had been, she lost it. Shopping bags went flying, contents scattering onto the sidewalk. Makeup, a sequined top, a bottle of cheap champagne rolling into the gutter. Emma collapsed right there, sobbing, mascara streaking down her face as she screamed at the universe. People walking their dogs gave her wide berths. Cars slowed down just to watch. It was public. It was humiliating. It was final. I sat in my car across the street, unseen, and just breathed. She'd spent months telling me I was nothing without her. And there she was, locked out. No money, no roof, no audience except the strangers shaking their heads at her spectacle. Meanwhile, I drove back to my condo. My condo. A place she'd never touch, never poison. I opened the balcony door, poured myself a drink, and stood there watching the city lights. For the first time in years, the silence wasn't heavy. It was clean. And in that silence, I realized something Emma would never understand. I didn't just survive without her. I finally started living. Don't forget to subscribe.